The images you are seeing are of the state of Hawaii, a land of majestic mountains, crystal-clear beaches, and graceful native women swaying in hula dances adorned in vibrant costumes. It can be said that the Hawaiian Islands are globally renowned for their status as America's top tourist paradise. However, in the past, this land was remembered for its bloody battles and centuries of invasion by white colonizers. Video, Geography of the Hawaiian Islands. Hawaii is an archipelago in the Pacific Ocean and also a U.S. state. It is located approximately 3,800 kilometers from the western coast of the United States. This area is relatively small in size, with a land area of 16,638 square kilometers and a water surface area of 11,672 square kilometers. This state has a total area of 28,310 square kilometers, ranking 8th among the states of the Republic. If only the land area is considered, Hawaii is the 4th smallest state in the U.S. In 2023, the population of this archipelago was 1,422,366 people. However, due to its small area, the population density here is quite high, reaching 86.2 people per square kilometer, ranking 13th in Wa Province. The state of Hawaii consists of 137 islands, with the 8 largest islands aligned in a northwest to southeast direction. The islands in order are Niihau, Kauai, Oahu, Molokai, Lanai, Kaho'olawe, Maui, and Hawaii. Among them, the largest island is Hawaii, with an area of up to 10,430 square kilometers, accounting for about 63% of the entire archipelago's total land area. However, this area has only about 200,600 residents, accounting for 13.8% of the state's total population. This island is famous for Mauna Kea, a mountain peak that rises 4,207 meters above sea level, ranking as the 15th tallest in the world. But if measured from its base to its summit, Mauna Kea stands at 9,330 meters tall, far surpassing Mount Everest and making it the tallest mountain in the world. Currently, Oahu is the most populous island in the state of Hawaii. With an area of 1,545 square kilometers, it is home to approximately 1,016,000 people, accounting for 69.8% of the entire archipelago's population. Oahu is the most populous island in the Hawaiian archipelago, largely due to the presence of Pearl Harbor. This is a deep-water port located in the center of the Pacific Ocean, serving as a key strategic base for the U.S. Navy. Beyond its military role, Oahu is also an ideal destination for tourism and shopping, attracting over 5 million visitors annually, a figure that accounts for nearly half of the total visitors to the entire archipelago. As the only tropical state in the U.S., Hawaii has a thriving tourism industry, contributing up to 25% to the archipelago's economy. This place is also renowned for its diverse and rich culture, making it an ideal destination for immigrant communities from all over the world. Creates a unique blend in culture, cuisine, art, and festivals. In 2023, Hawaii achieved a gross domestic product, GDP, of $108 billion, ranking 36th among U.S. states. The per capita GRDP reached $75,946, ranking 24th in the land of the rising sun. The Hawaiian Islands are considered one of the most unique and extraordinary places in the United States. This is the only state not part of the mainland, but rather an archipelago in the Pacific with a typical tropical climate. Moreover, this is the only region in America where a kingdom once existed. The Hawaiian Islands are located far from the mainland, so for a long time, people were completely unaware of their existence. It was not until the 10th century that the Polynesians arrived here, originating from the Sochi-8 and Makisa archipelagos. These people have just begun migrating to Hawaii after completing a long 4,000-kilometer journey across the sea. In the new land, they grew various types of tubers such as taro, sweet potatoes, and yams, along with coconuts, bananas, and sugarcane. The Hawaiians also domesticated dogs, chickens, and pigs, while constructing fish ponds. Life on this remote archipelago only began to change after the Europeans arrived. On January 18, 1778, British Captain James Cook landed on the Hawaiian Islands. And from then on, the Hawaiian Islands gradually became a significant landmark in the flow of world history. 17 years later, in 1795, the ruler of this land was Kalani Paiha, also known as King Kamehameha the Great. The Kingdom of Hawaii was established after unifying the islands, but it did not include 2 of them, Hawaii and Niihau. The king kept applying pressure, and in the end, the leaders of the 2 islands had to submit. In 1810, they also agreed to merge and become part of the Kingdom of Hawaii. Thanks to diplomatic recognition from European and American kingdoms, a wave of explorers poured in. Commoners and whalers landed on the archipelago, causing the indigenous community to gradually decline. Due to the emergence of diseases such as syphilis, smallpox, tuberculosis, and measles. The indigenous population is estimated to have decreased from 300,000 people before 1778. The population in the 1820s was 142,000 people, but by 1890, it had sharply declined to only 40,622. At this time, American merchants realized that the Hawaiian lands were extremely suitable for growing timber trees. Sandalwood is one of the rarest and most expensive types of wood in the world. It is also among the few woods. The product was favored by the Chinese, while the Qing dynasty remained closed off to the outside world. However, this type of tree grows quite slowly, so when overexploited, its population declines rapidly. Empty. Meanwhile, the Americans discovered another source of profit, sugarcane. Around the 1830s, sugarcane had been widely discovered here. This plant quickly became the most commonly cultivated crop. It attracted a multitude of foreign investors have come to the Spratly Islands to establish sugarcane plantations. This increase also brought a rise in the number of Americans living here. By 1836, sugar and molasses production reached approximately 3,600 kilograms. Sugarcane was introduced to the U.S., and by the 1840s, sugar production from sugarcane had steadily developed. In Hawaii's economy, the sugar production industry thrives due to rising demand in the United States. This sector is tightly regulated. Although many plantations were established, the Hawaiians did not want to work there, focusing only on the people primarily live off farming and fishing. Additionally, the indigenous population has severely declined due to rampant epidemics. Therefore, white business owners decided to hire more Asian workers, most of whom were immigrants. From China, Japan, Korea to the Philippines, many people have set foot in Hawaii. Additionally, the island has also attracted quite a few visitors from Europe. Among them, the Portuguese were the majority. With their strategic positions and growing economic potential, Britain, France, and other nations will not easily let go. Hawaii is an extremely important archipelago. By 1843, Captain John Perlett of the HMS had the ship Carey Ford arrived at the port of Honolulu and demanded that King Kamehameha III surrender the islands to Britain. Kwok An. Behind the scenes of the horrific war, the King of Hawaii was forced to surrender. At this very moment, Jared Peachtrot, the finance minister of the kingdom, secretly dispatched envoys to the US, France, and the UK to protest this action. John Perlett, at last the UK has to return freedom to the archipelago. Thus, both King Louis Philippe of France and Queen Victoria of England unanimously recognized the independence of the Kingdom of Hawaii was a historic milestone, marking it as the first indigenous nation outside of Europe to achieve sovereignty. Recognized by major countries. In 1849, France unexpectedly attacked Honolulu, inflicting heavy damage on the capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii. The incident caused damages of up to $100,000, with the motive being retaliation for the suppression of Catholic followers in the area, and the injustice toward ordinary French citizens. Given the situation, the U.S. decisively intervened in Hawaii's internal affairs and declared that this archipelago belongs to the indigenous people and also recognizes the independence of the Kingdom of Hawaii. The islanders deeply appreciate the actions of the country of Koa and regard this nation as a steadfast pillar of support for themselves. In 1854, the newly elected U.S. president at the time, Frankie Pierzer, began negotiations with the King of Hawaii had intended to annex the islands to the territory of the United States. However, this intention could not be realized when King Kamehameha III passed away, so Hawaii continued to maintain the status quo, standing as an independent nation in the heart of the Pacific. In 1867, when diplomat William H. Seward made the deal to purchase Alaska, he also once proposed the occupation of the Kingdom of Hawaii, but this proposal did not gain support. However, in the 1870s, Hawaii and the United States signed a series of treaties concerning both trade and politics. Through this, the archipelago has become increasingly integrated with the economy of the Keiwa Nation. The wealthy plantation owners always sought to limit the control of the indigenous people. They pressured King Kalakaua into signing the bilateral treaty on January 30, 1875. Specifically, the U.S. has exclusive rights to use the translation template in Hawaii. At the same time, the king of this archipelago was forbidden from signing any alliance treaties with other nations. In essence, America's aim at that time was to turn Hawaii into an economic colony and eliminate British influence to easily gain control of this Pacific island nation. The result was a slew of new sugarcane plantations sprouting up like mushrooms. In 1874, Hawaii exported 56,160 tons of sugar. By 1890, this figure had increased nearly 13-fold, reaching 729,340 tons. During the same period, the value of Hawaii's exported goods rose to $1,840,000. Revenue has increased to $13,283,000, equivalent to a growth rate of 722% over 16 years. Despite GDP growing continuously at a rapid rate, but the economy of the Kingdom of Hawaii had become heavily dependent on the United States. This will make the future merger of the island nation proceed much more smoothly. As the U.S. economy increasingly shifts its focus toward the Asia-Pacific region, politicians gradually recognized Hawaii's military potential. In the strategic plans outlined in Washington, Hawaii will become a strategic military base and serves as a fueling station for the U.S. team. In peacetime, this place would be a perfect stopover. In 1887, King Kanakaura was forced to sign a constitution that stripped him of his power. At the same time, it is necessary to sign a treaty. The regulations of Hawaii will transfer the Pu'uloa area of Oahu Island back to the U.S. government. Today, that place is Pearl Harbor. Moreover, the new constitution also clearly stipulates those who wish to participate in the Senate election or run for a Senate seat, you need an income of at least $600 or taxable assets worth $3,000. In 2024, these figures correspond to an income of $20,347 and assets worth $101,733 USD. Thus, only one-third of the wealthiest population resides in Hawaii. Having just won the right to vote, most of them were white men working in the sugar cane industry. By 1890, the Sherman Silver Purchase Act had been passed by the U.S. Congress. Here are the natural English translations for the given Vietnamese texts. This is a heavy blow to Hawaii's economy. The economy primarily relied on exporting sugarcane to the U.S. market. At this time, Queen Liliuokalani decided to authorize a lottery and legalize opium to rescue the economy from crisis. She also wanted to abolish the 1887 Constitution to restore power to the monarchy, just like abolishing the rule that only allows the wealthy to vote, to reduce the power of the plantation owner class. These issues received strong support from both the indigenous community and the Asian community, but faced fierce opposition from the white community. Finally, in January 1893, under the leadership of the U.S. Minister to Hawaii, John L. Stevens, with Laureen A. Thorston, the white settlers overthrew Queen Liliuokalani and established the Republic of Hawaii. Only a short time later, the Spanish-American War broke out in 1898. Currently, Hawaii has become a strategically important naval base. Help America deploy its power in the Pacific region. Thanks to that, they easily defeated Spain and seized its colonies in Asia. That's Guam and the Philippines. Additionally, the U.S. Embassy expressed concern that, because the Hawaiian Islands have a modest area and sparse population, so it was easily swallowed up by other powerful nations. It could be Germany, England, France, or Japan. Among them, Japan has the greatest potential. In 1900, the Japanese made up 40% of Hawaii's population. Especially at the present time, they still do not possess many colonies, except for Taiwan and the Kuril Islands. Thus, if Hawaii were to fall into the hands of a naval power with formidable strength, the west coast of the U.S. could be in danger. From the Pearl Harbor base, the warships could set sail in just a few days. The destinations will be the coasts of Alaska, California, Oregon, and Washington. On the contrary, when Hawaii was under American control, this is a strategically vital seaport, supporting this country's ships in smoothly traveling to China, Japan, and Southeast Asian countries. Given such importance, the country of Kauai finally. Hawaii was also annexed in 1898. The waters around this archipelago have become a unified and organized territory. This place is ruled by white people. Most of them originate from the United States. The merger proceeded quite smoothly, without encountering strong opposition. After occupying the islands, the Americans continued to encourage migration to the area. Among them are also people of Korean descent. At this time, this place was part of the Japanese Empire. From 1903 to 1910, approximately 7,300 North Koreans have arrived here, and only 16% of them returned to their homeland. Moreover, since the Philippines was a U.S. colony at that time. Let's start from 1907. They actively encouraged people to migrate to Hawaii. More than 20 years later, approximately 112,800 visitors traveled to the Pacific Island archipelago, and 36% of them returned to the Philippines. During World War II, Japan faced an extremely difficult decision. One is to continue enduring oil sanctions from the US, or attack Hawaii, only to then face the terrifying power of the Kowa envoy head-on. Finally, they decided to go with the second option, and attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. Thanks to the element of surprise and thorough preparation, the Japanese attack killed 2,402 people and wounded 1,282 others. At the same time, they sank 4 battleships and nearly hit the primary target, simultaneously sinking 4 battleships and damaging 4 others. By the end of the day, the Japanese forces had sunk an additional 3 cruisers, 3 destroyers, and 1 mine layer. At the same time, they also destroyed 188 aircraft. While the Empire of the Rising Sun suffered only negligible losses, with 29 aircraft destroyed and 4 mini-submarines sunk. The incident resulted in 64 deaths and 1 arrest. However, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the commander of the Pearl Harbor attack, the lingering fear remains that this victory will awaken the sleeping giant. Here are the 2 natural English translation options, choose one based on context. From the Pearl Harbor base, heavy bombers like the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress took off. Bombers attack islands in the Pacific. It can be affirmed that Oahu is truly an unsinkable aircraft carrier of the United States. Support this country's navy in implementing the island hopping strategy. Step by step, our troops reclaimed the islands occupied by Japanese forces. Finally, America defeated the Japanese Empire. Since then, they have maintained their position as the world's leading superpower to this day. The 50th state of the United States. After the United States won World War II, Hawaii is urging the federal government to recognize the territory as an official state. This was the first time America suffered heavy losses in war. Here, whether you are a Jia Trang, an indigenous person, or of Japanese descent, all ethnic groups, all demonstrate loyalty and active participation in combat operations initiated by the U.S. government. During that same period, the Hawaiian Democratic Revolution took place in 1954. The workers at the sugarcane plantations organized a protest, demand salaries and benefits on par with colleagues working in the U.S. This movement pushed the Washington administration to support upgrading Hawaii's territorial status, become a U.S. state. Here are the natural English translations for the given Vietnamese sentences. On August 21, 1959, President Dwight D. Eisenhower officially signed the declaration. Hawaii officially became the 50th state of the United States. In the following years, the archipelago continued to undergo constant demographic changes and become one of the most ethnically diverse states in America. Specifically, in 2020, this region had 37.2% of its population of Asian descent and 22.9% white. Indigenous people make up 10.8%, mixed-race people account for 25.3%, and the remainder belongs to other ethnic groups. Hawaii is the only U.S. state with a majority Asian population. The majority of them are of Filipino origin, accounting for 14.6% of the total. Japan accounts for 13.6%, while China accounts for 4%. And the Korean Peninsula accounts for a lower proportion, only 1.8%. The second largest ethnic minority is the white population, accounting for 22.9% of the total. The population has diverse origins, with those of German descent accounting for 7.4%, Irish 5.2%, and English 4.6%. Portugal accounts for 4.3%, while Italy makes up 2.7%. Additionally, there are Spanish speakers who come from Latin America. The indigenous people have now become a minority group in society. However, their proportion has increased significantly in recent times. From 9.4% in 2000, this rate increased to 10.8% in 2020. Additionally, Hawaii has a very high mixed-race population, accounting for up to 25.3% of its residents. The most prominent among them is former President Barack Obama. His father is Kenyan and his mother is British. Since becoming a state, the archipelago's economy has gradually become more diverse. Tourism and military defense are two of the most crucial fields. This state attracts tourists and scientists with its diverse and abundant natural landscapes. The pleasant warm tropical climate and the abundance of long, sprawling public beaches. The vast ocean embraces, majestic volcanoes stand tall, and the indigenous culture is rich with deep-rooted identity. But due to its isolated location, Hawaii is one of the most expensive states to live in the U.S. Yet, this is one of the areas with the highest life expectancy in the United States, with an average life expectancy of 80.7 years. Although Hawaiian voters overwhelmingly supported the bill to become a state, however, many indigenous activists still firmly oppose it. Since the 1960s, they have been pioneers in the movements fighting for sovereignty, to critique the excessive urbanization driven by white settlers, and they accuse the U.S. of illegally seizing their land. Some organizations even demanded that the Washington government provide compensation regarding the prolonged military occupation of this archipelago. The invasion began in 1898. In 1993, the U.S. Congress passed a joint resolution, formally apologizing for the overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy in 1893, and acknowledged that the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii was an illegal act. Additionally, September 29, 2015, is also a notable date. The U.S. Department of the Interior has announced the formal process for recognizing Native Hawaiian sovereignty. From then on, a list of Native Hawaiians was also created to address concerns about autonomy and other rights of the indigenous people on this archipelago. However, due to many differing opinions, it has not yet been officially approved. And all those actions by the Washington administration, it's still not enough to drive the indigenous struggle forward, and the gradual fading of traditional values. Currently, investigations are being conducted simultaneously across the entire archipelago, in Honolulu and other sacred sites in Hawaiian culture. Sovereignty activists continue to engage in illegal actions, such as the unauthorized display of prohibited flags, in the context of severe climate change and resource depletion as seen today. The decades-long struggle of Native Hawaiians is growing increasingly powerful, especially after the wildfire in the western area of Maui Island in August 2023. Specifically, the fires caused widespread damage. At least 101 people have died and 2 are missing in the incident that occurred in the town of Lahaina. On August 8, the Hawaii National Guard was mobilized. On August 10, President Joe Biden officially declared a major federal disaster. Beyond the tragic human losses, the fire in Lahaina alone caused over 2,200 buildings were destroyed, including residential areas and many important historical structures. In September 2023, the U.S. Department of Commerce announced the official damage figure from wildfires, reaching $5.5 billion. This event further motivates indigenous activists to intensify their sovereignty movement. They believe the ruins of Lahaina serve as a stark warning of the consequences if Hawaii continues to be over-commercialized. At the same time, restoring Hawaii as a self-sufficient, self-sustaining island nation is the only way to preserve this land for future generations. Therefore, they will never cease fighting to reclaim an independent future for the Kingdom of Hawaii. Nevertheless, Hawaii still holds an extremely important position for the United States today. This is also the home base of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, one of the largest naval commands in the world. This archipelago plays a crucial role, serving as an irreplaceable link in Washington's third island chain. It originates from the Aleutian Islands in Alaska, then flows southward through the central Pacific Ocean toward Oceania, passing through the Hawaiian Islands, American Samoa, and Fiji in turn, before reaching the final stop in New Zealand. It involves about 10 north-south routes, primarily running east-west, where the U.S. Embassy forces can deploy from the west coast of the U.S. through Hawaii to Guam. From there, the entire western Pacific region can be observed. If China wants to seize Taiwan and provoke the U.S., the first thing they need to do is neutralize the military bases on Guam and Hawaii before thinking about the next steps. However, the distance from the west coast of the U.S. to Hawaii is 3,800 kilometers, while from the Chinese coastline to the archipelago, it is twice as far, reaching 7,900 kilometers. It is evident that the Spratly Islands play an extremely crucial role in America's power's leading superpower in deploying naval forces across the Pacific, the planet. And for that very reason, America was compelled to seize Hawaii at all costs. If you want us to make a video about a certain topic, please comment right below this video. Hello everyone, see you in the upcoming videos.